Your website is the mousetrap. Your content is the cheese. Welcome to Content Matters, tasty marketing ideas for your commute. Your hosts on the Sonic Adventure are Andy Crestodina of Orbit Media and Barry Feldman of Feldman Creative.
Okay, guys, welcome. This is the first episode of Content Matters. It's a podcast with a conversation between myself, Andy Crestodina, and the one and only Barry Feldman. You guys might know me. I'm a digital strategist, and I'm the founder of Orbit Media. We're a web design company here in Chicago. And Barry, tell us a sentence or two about yourself.
I'm Barry Feldman, and my little company is called Feldman Creative, and I do content marketing consulting, and strategy. I've forever been a creative director and a copywriter for all walks of marketing, I suppose you could say.
That's right. And Barry and I have one thing in common. We are both very passionate about teaching marketing, and we're both marketers for marketers. We teach other marketers how to do best-in-class digital marketing through search, through social, through email. We're very passionate about content. But one of the commonalities throughout the last few years for us, 8 years for us, 15 years for us, is that we help people bring themselves into the era of content marketing and up their game through basic content strategy and the techniques we're going to talk about now. So this is the first episode of Content Matters. So our goal here is to focus on a theme. Each episode will have a theme, and then we're going to talk about why that theme matters. There's going to be a word of the week. This is going to be a bi-weekly podcast, and we're going to jump in. It should just be really practical. We're going to have lots of tips and insights packed into a 20-minute show. So as we go, we're going to have an episode, a little segment about mousetraps and cheese, which you'll see is a quote that I use of Barry's all the time. I'm constantly quoting this guy. Honor to be kind of on a podcast now with one of my heroes. And we're going to pick each other's brains and gather feedback and jump right into the industry and marketing itself. So that said, what's our theme for this show, Barry?
Well, the show itself is called Content Matters, and so we're going to be tackling matters on the show, Content Matters. And today we're simply going to talk about content mattering. And I think this is because when Andy and I were last in the same room together, we were at Content Marketing World. I guess it was a massive room because there was close to 4,000 people there. And at the top of the program, when Joe Polizzi came on stage, and shortly after him, Jay Bear, they put forth a theme. At least that's my take. Are you with me on this, Andy?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so they said, are you going to go back after this conference and do what you're doing every day in the same way you're doing it now? Or are you going to go back and make content that matters? Or are you going to go back and make meaningful content? And so that's what I thought we'd talk about today. There's obviously no lack of content, and I think content marketers such as Andy and I are now saying, cut it out, or stop just being a copycat, stop overpopulating the web with content for the sake of content. What'd you take, Andy, from that theme? I think like one of the last things Joe said was, go back and make content that matters.
Yeah, well, that's what a keynote should be. It takes you up a level and you're panning out and you're looking at the biggest picture view, which I loved. He just did a great job of kind of setting the stage. The idea is that it's meaningful. The work we do is meaningful. It makes a difference to brands and the employees who work for those brands. Great marketers create job security for the people within those companies. This was not insignificant, trivial work. This is work that can actually make a big difference. And as we all know, the differences are huge. You can do a good job or a bad job in this field, and the bad work is so terrible. And so we want to get to some of the practical stuff. But yeah, at a very high level, it makes a difference. So I'd say that you could look at that in different ways. Yes, it is potentially meaningful work for meaningful brands with people to whom it makes a difference, whether or not the marketing is doing a good job. And also, it's a challenge to up the quality, because we know that there's going to be 2.2 some million blog posts published per day. Anyone out there today who's pushing the publishing button, how is your piece going to rise above? How does it make a difference? What's the point of it? Is it aligned strategically to a goal? How does any specific piece of content matter? So, Barry, I'll ask you. I mean, what's the difference between good and great? How can one actually make a difference with their content?
Well, I think it's not a long list, but there's more than one answer. Certainly one answer is educate people. And so I think if you've answered a question that people have lingering in their mind, it might be bothering them. It might be preventing them from achieving their goals. They might have tossed and turned a bit about it last night. If they should stumble upon your page, find it through the usual channels. We'll talk a lot about, of course, search and social and email. And then they land there, they should be better after having consumed it. And so, you do often talk about making the best page on the internet. That's a conversation that we've had about search. And that's because, you're really competing only with 10 spots, I suppose. And so your content has to be deep and interesting and first and foremost educational. But that's not the only kind of content, I don't think that my children who are 17 and 14 are always looking to learn. They're looking to have fun. They're looking to get educated. And I think they, while they might be a bit oblivious to what's happening in terms of marketing, they are being drawn closer to brands because those brands are giving them a good time. Those brands are entertaining them. Those brands are kind of becoming part of their day. So I think the list begins with content that matters, is content that helps you solve a problem, makes you smarter for a problem that you were having, and then content that entertains you. But I think the list goes on. It's not an infinite, but we might go to the internet for different reasons. And one of those for me, besides education and entertainment, is to hear people's point of view. It's kind of sort of becoming radio and television to us all. And so, what about you? What do you, did I leave anything out?
No, well, this reminds me of a conversation I had like an hour ago with someone was sitting right here at my desk with me, and they make beds. They make hospital beds for the home, and they are the best in class. And so in a way, the content matters for them because they can better help people find a quality product that makes a difference in someone's life. But we learned that there was people searching the tool on their website. And here's a content marketing trick for anyone with a search tool on their website. Make sure that the site search tool is set up, or report is set up in analytics so you can see what people are searching for. People were searching for Medicare. They were looking for how to pay for these beds. And they were on that site trying to find information about that. And I said, well, if you make a page on that topic, you can then rank, you can answer that question for people on your site. You can also, we did some keyword research and found that there's people several a day searching for that phrase every day. And I said, well, you could also make a page on the web and be the best answer on the web for the topic about, does Medicare cover the cost of hospital beds for the home? He said, no, we don't, Medicare doesn't pay for our beds, so we're not relevant for that. Why would we want those visitors? And here's the point, and this is really important, and this is what I wanted to help, it took me a minute to explain, and it made sense to him in the long run. It matters because your audience cares. Someone is going to rank for that phrase. Someone is going to win that visitor. Why not be you? Why not be the Wikipedia for your industry for that topic? Do you want someone else to get that traffic? As we say, where there's traffic, there's hope. If you get that visitor on your site, lots of good things could happen. They might subscribe. They might follow. You might, they might ask for more information. You might start a conversation with them. So if they don't want to rank for the phrase hospital bed Medicare, who should? Do they want someone else to rank for that phrase? Do they want to give that visitor, that audience, that attention to someone else? Why not, since they're experts in this topic, get that information out of their brains, onto their websites, answering those important questions for that audience, and then they can be a resource, be a trusted resource, help people during this time when they're making a buying decision. Someone's going to win that attention. Why not let it be you?
Yeah, and simply put, the content matters because it matters to your customers. And so I think we've going down the path of what doesn't matter, and brands are often very confused by thinking I have to attach everything I say, every answer to what I sell. I'm doing marketing, therefore, that client of yours or that associate of yours made the mistake of thinking, well, I don't really have the best answer to that, or, it's not what they want to hear. Well, I mean, it's a page out of the book of Marcus Sheridan, right? That you tackle the tough stuff. And the tough stuff usually is about money or problems or answers people don't want to hear. But there's an opportunity there because your competition didn't do it, right? I mean, that's really where your answer was coming from. It's why not be the wiki for that area? And so let's talk a little bit about content that doesn't matter, right? I think, a lot of people gathered at that conference in Cleveland, and, you and me and everybody else there are probably guilty at some point, hopefully more so beginners than experienced content marketers, of simply, chasing the content marketing dream. They read that if you publish, you generate traffic, leads, and sales. Is it true? Aren't we now at the point where there's too much content and a majority of it is noise?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of content that makes no difference. There are web pages that have no traffic, no shares, no rankings, and no links to them. And the internet would be the same exact place if these pages didn't exist. So we have to be honest with ourselves and say that so what is likely to matter? Content that is poorly promoted and never read really doesn't matter to a brand. Content that has a short lifespan, that is opinion or news, content that is not going to matter in the future. Evergreen content will matter for longer. There is content that fails to educate, fails to inform, fails to persuade, and fails to inspire. That really matters less. So we should judge ourselves harshly. We should look carefully. We should check the analytics. See, is there anyone reading it? Time on page? Anyone staying there? What's the bounce rate? Did people leave immediately? So, does it matter to our audience? It's not a subjective thing. This is not opinion-based marketing. There is lots of evidence to see whether or not a piece of content made any difference in your marketing or in the lives of your audience.
Yeah, we have to trace it to strategy and the questions about content marketers, or the questions from content marketers. Actually, CMI and marketing profs speaking to the content marketers ask every year, is your content effective? And the leading answers are either no or I don't know. Certainly, I think we might have seen some improvements there in the last couple of years, but certainly everybody, the percentage of the answers that are yes, it is effective, and we know that because we measure it, is the minority. And so, the next question is, well, how does it trace to your strategy? What are your objectives? What is effective? And that's when the conversation turns silent. So the emphasis is to document something. And when you start documenting something, you're documenting who you're talking to, you're personifying them. And next is what do they care about? And it's a drag, but content marketers like to skip that step. Marketers in general like to skip that step. They don't know the answer. And, you should be able to produce, I wrote a piece that said you should be able to produce 30 of those. What 30 questions will you hear relentlessly across your organization today? Start answering. You're going to be busy creating content that matters for a while.
Yep. And your audience is telling you, from sales conversations, from customer service conversations, what matters to them. Your audience is frequently telling you what content they want to hear. So here's a tip that you maybe have heard before, and I've certainly mentioned before. You've already written some of your best content, but you wrote it in email. You could get your great content that matters. It matters because people are asking for it, out of your outbox, and stop just responding to people's email and answering their top questions over email, but publish that on your website. So you should have a circuit in your brain as a content marketer that teaches that oh my audience is asking for this content. Why haven't I published it yet? A lot of salespeople don't have that circuit built into their brain. Social media marketers have a saying, never waste a good conversation by having it in private. If you've had that conversation in private and you know that you just answered a top question for your audience, get back to your desk, write that article, publish it on your site because your audience is telling you that topic matters to them. So I think that there's many clues everywhere. Your analytics is one. Listening to your audience is one. Barry was drawing a map for us just a second ago, connecting it to goals and values. These are ways that we know that the content will make a difference. It's important. It fits in the overlap on that Venn diagram of important to our audience and aligning with one of our marketing goals, a real business objective.
Yeah, that's quite a mega tip you laid down there. You started with email and you couldn't stop yourself because it went on to a search and social or internal search and social and analytics. And I think that, the truth is if you're actually at work working, to pay the bills and achieve the objectives of the business, just about everything you do probably uncorks a topic that matters to your customers. Certainly everything you do, for your customers and with your customers, and that's going to extend to your partners and your peers and the news media.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just a matter of listening. You have to keep that content marketing hat on all the time, and your audience is often telling you what they want to hear, what you need to publish. That's where content strategy really starts, and that ties back to the key skill for all marketers, which is empathy. How well have you snuck into the minds of your audience? How well are you wearing their shoes and walking around? Like what do they really care about? And if the top question in my example earlier, if you sell hospital beds for the home and your audience wants to know how they're going to pay for this, if you don't answer that question, someone else will. If that information is not on your website, well, the back button is right there. The back button is the one feature that is common to every website. It's in all the browsers, and it's right there. And we're going to click it, right? We're going to go to some other site. I'm going to go back to search results and find the answer to my question somewhere else.
Sometimes those agenda setters, those questions that need to be answered, are served to you on a silver platter. Research helps, I think, and we've uncovered some of those points. But my most popular post this year is called "What social media marketing tactics?" Maybe it didn't have the word marketing. What social media tactics are most effective? And I didn't see that on Amazon. It wasn't in a conversation with a customer. It was from Michael Stelzner's report. He said, we collected questions this year, and here's the top 5. And number 1 is, what social media tactics are most effective? I'm like, well, if that's the number 1 question, I'll answer it.
Yep.
And I did, and it ranks on page 1 of search. How about that?
Wow.
It's the most popular post in every way. I simply like I said, silver platter. Wow. How many people did Michael ask in that thing? Thousands, right? Like 3,000 or 4,000. It's like 3,000 or 4,000 people have the same question. I'm here. I'll answer it. Why not? It sounds like that one actually matters.
Yeah, for everyone that heard that question, you were the one who stepped into the breach and actually put it down in a keyword.
Yeah, and then while we're at it, I guess you're on your own for those beds. The Medicaid's not there for you on that one.
Right. I can't answer that. Only the client can, and to make content that really matters, a lot of people need to write it themselves. They're experts, right? We are all experts in our fields. We just need to remember to publish. I guess if we're getting to an answer here, the answer is yes. Content matters. But no, not always. The content that matters most is the content that best aligns with a business strategy and aligns with our audience's questions, their research and entertainment needs. Barry, any final thoughts on why content matters or which content matters most?
Can I help you, right? Probably not too many people in our audience didn't read Jay Baer's book, Utility. And he says, what you're trying to do today on the internet or with digital marketing is to help and not hype. And when you're hyping, it's not like it's completely out of bounds to ever ask for money or promote your products or services, but you're falling into the traditional traps that are often rejected. We consumers, we have a million questions every day, and we go to search to find the answers to them, and we are going to find the answers to them. And we appreciate the brands that help us find the answers. And we are talking about some fairly deep, often business to business concerns, or we've used the example of that. How you pay for that bed thing, which is not business to business. But help doesn't have to be a long answer to a complex question. Help can be entertainment and fun. We're just simply in control now, and that's why marketing has turned from outbound to inbound. And so, the short answer is, when your content matters, it's because you've empathized with a problem somebody's having, and you've gone out of your way to give them a great assistance.
Absolutely. So let's move on. That was great. I love this conversation. And I can't guarantee this will always be true, but Barry, you and I agree on this topic completely. Who knows? Maybe in future conversations, we'll tussle a little bit here.
We'll get to stuff we don't agree on.
There's lots of it, I'm sure.
Sports ball.
Sports ball. I'm well known for being a sports ball fan, and my sports ball team did not score enough sports points last time around, and we got knocked out of the World Series race. We'll skip that topic and move on to our mini segment here. Mousetraps and cheese. Okay, I've quoted Barry 1,000 times on this. He said it first. If the website's the mousetrap, the content's the cheese. To me, that is all about content is what brings the visitors. That's cheese. It attracts mice. That's traffic. The mousetrap is what catches the mice and converts the visitors from just a suspect into a prospect, or just a stranger into a subscriber or a lead or an e-commerce shopper. So we want to take a second here and cover a couple of direct tips. One of them is going to be one of us giving a traffic tip, that's the cheese, and then we're going to give a conversion tip, that's the mousetrap. So Barry, why don't you kick us off with your favorite cheese tip today? Tell us something about how you can drive traffic to a website.
Well, I guess we played that card. My prepared answer was that your cheese is going to be a result of you understanding a problem your customer has. And you dropped that great bomb about empathy. And it's hard not to quote Anne Hanley, I think, because she made the most memorable phrase there when she said, develop pathological empathy for your customer. So I think, I'm not gonna just skirt it and move on to another tip just because we covered it, because I think, in these brief segments, we want to really leave people with an idea that they can digest and take home and put to work. So I think you are probably, as a content marketer, guessing far too often about, what your customers care about. And so if you want to be truly empathetic, simply go to the source, ask your customers, find the time to have customer conversations and say, what's wrong. And if for some reason that's not going to work for you, you're brand new, maybe you don't have customers, maybe you're far removed from them, go to somebody that does have the answer. Go to a customer facing person in your company who's in support or in sales. And then, just extend that every way you possibly can. Go to question and answer sites, go to Amazon reviews, go to forums. Questions are everywhere. They're begging to be answered. That's how you become empathetic.
And I've got a way to use that on the site, and this relates to building a great mousetrap. Then there's another common problem, huge mistake on many websites. There are marketing claims on your website right now, but not every marketing claim on every website is supported with evidence. Some of those quotes that you're going to get from those conversations that you have that Barry was talking about, you need to turn those into testimonials and proof and put those onto your marketing pages. Never make a marketing claim without supporting it with evidence. The worst place to put a testimonial is the testimonials page. Get rid of your testimonials page. Visitors are not going to your testimonials page. Just look at your analytics. It's a lonely page far away from where anyone wants to be because it smells like marketing. Instead, take those out of the testimonials page and put those throughout the website. That bedside I mentioned earlier, they do have testimonials, but they're on the last page of a downloadable PDF that nobody ever goes to. So make every page a testimonials page. Make every marketing claim supported with social proof or evidence of some sort, and get the voice of your audience onto your website, literally pixels away from the claims that you're making. That's my top conversion tip, my top mousetrap tip for you guys today.
Yeah, good stuff. I hope you don't run out of tips there. I guess that's never been a problem for you. But yeah, Andy's a big fan of simplifying your site. He's not a fan of massive menus and pull downs. And so, if you simplify your site, the idea is you send people to the pages that matter, and then you put the things that will help your cause in their path.
Yeah, exactly. Go look at the top path through your website. It's in the behavior flow report, and make sure that you've got good stuff on every one of those pages in the top path. That there's a highway running, if your website was a city, there'd be a highway running through it. Know where that highway is, and then add your content accordingly. So that was Mousetraps and Cheese. We're going to wrap up this podcast here. Before we do, Barry, tell us what we're doing next time.
Next time, we're going to be talking about headlines. We talk about it often. I think I shared that I've been in the copywriting business for 25 plus years. If you're with us on Blab during the studio session here, you could probably tell. And yeah, so that's going to be hard to consolidate to 20 minutes, but we're going to try. We're going to talk about the thing that why headlines matter and what matters most about them. And I imagine we'll be picking my brain for writing tips quite a bit.
You are the master of headlines, Barry. I saw your KISS Metrics webinar. This is going to be packed. A show with Barry on headlines is going to be super high value content. I'm excited about it. I guess, Barry, should we wrap it up? Let's leave it here.
Yeah. So again, it's going to be a little confusing if you're just tuning into the podcast when it airs, but understand that we're doing these live. And so we're going to say goodbye to our podcast audience and hang out with our blabbers and take some questions. So thanks so much for tuning in for the first episode of Content Matters.